Hey guys, welcome back to Players Code Talks Wrestling. Rolling solo this week, this month. I don't know. Anyway, rolling solo is your host, Caleb. Welcome to the show. I am Sans Miguel, for he had a small cat knocking soda on his laptop problem a few weeks ago. So he is unable to record. We've yet to find a solution that allows us to record together again. We're hoping to find it though. We're hoping to get there. Not sure how we're gonna pull it off, but I'm working on it. But anyway, we're back for our monthly show. This has become a monthly show because I can't bring myself to watch Raw week to week and record it and whatnot anymore. So we're doing the pay-per-views. Maybe at some point we might go back week to week if the product actually gets good, better. But besides then, we're here for Extreme Rules. Extreme Rules taking place in Chicago, Illinois. You know, one of the smarkiest towns for the WWE to be in. And they handled it well. I think they did well handling this crowd. There was a couple of spots that are a little interesting that I'll talk about later. But let's just dive right into the show, I suppose. We open up with we open up with Luke Harper and Dean Ambrose in the Chicago Street Fight, which, for those of you who don't know, a Street Fight is just a no disqualification match, basically. They're just given a pretty name. Street fights used to mean kind of the participants would just show up in street clothes. Normal shoes, pants, shirts, tapes, fists, whatever. But since for whatever reason that no longer is kind of part of that stipulation, it doesn't matter. Luckily, these two guys dress in street clothes and they wrestle anyway. Ambrose and Harper both wear jeans anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So this match goes on for a few minutes, and they fight to the back. It's an okay match. The first half anyway, and I say that because they fight to the back, and Harper jumps in a car, just jumps in somebody's car, and instead of speeding off, like he gets prepared to speed off, but then he obviously has to wait for Ambrose to jump in the car with him, and then they just take off out of the arena, and the announcers are flabbergasted as to, well, wait, is the match still going on? How do we do this? What's going on here? So this match, actually is an Iron Man match because it goes on for an hour. Because, the show, this is a show opener. This goes about 13 minutes before they actually take off. So then, literally about an hour about the hour mark of the show, they come back. I don't know. It felt kind of like Daniel Bryan and Kane last year, where they gave us kind of an Attitude Era style brawl. Like, they fought to the back. They're hitting each other with all types of weapons. The forklift thing was kind of interesting. This just didn't. And I'll get to the ending when they actually come back. Because it feels just really disjointed, Because, we all know they're going to come back because the match has to end in the ring. Not sure why you don't make it a false count anywhere and have them, go somewhere in Chicago. I think that would have been cool throwback to the hardcore title days. But, about 13 minutes in, they take off, and we get our next match, which is the tag team title match between Cesaro and Tyson Kidd, the champions, defending against the New Day. The New Day pretty much at this point has embraced the fact that the crowd hates them, and they've basically turned heel. Although, I don't know if it was time yet for them to win the belts, because that's what happened. Sorry to spoil it. Great match. At least it was a great match in terms of a tag team match happening in the WWE. I think Tyson and Cesaro are two of the best workers in the company right now, and I don't think there's a lot of people that would dispute that. And they worked really well with the New Day, Big E and Kofi, with Xavier Woods as manager. They wore the hell out of that clap, though. The clap, 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 which then the crowd chants, "New Day sucks." They were wearing the hell out of that, really trying to get across. And they kind of used the crowd. They knew the crowd was going to do that, and they kind of used the crowd to get themselves over as heels. Um, they cheat to win. Xavier Woods distracts the ref after the swing drop kick. And then Kofi rolls up Cesaro, I believe, and holds the tights for the win. Even though it seems like everybody holds the tights on roll ups now. Dolph did it against Sheamus later on. It seems like everybody does that. But I'm just trying to figure out, again, I guess maybe I missed it because, like I said, I haven't been watching Raw. I must have missed the face turn for Cesaro and Kid. I thought they were heels still. So weird to me that these two guys are just, I mean, granted, I get it. The crowd reaction turned them face, but just a weird thing. I don't think it was time for them to drop the belts. I think they could have had a nice little run and maybe given those belts some legitimacy because those things ping pong way too damn much. Yeah, I mean, I know that they had the belts before WrestleMania, but still, it's just like, I don't know. Maybe, I guess no, it wasn't time. They should have played this out a little bit more. But like I said, probably one of the best matches of the night. Yeah, I mean, and one of the best tag matches I've seen in a while. Although I did really like the Fatal 4-Way tag match at WrestleMania. I thought that was really good. But anyway, so moving through, like I said, I'm not spending too much time on all this. I there are things I will be spending some time on, and so that comes in the later half of the show. Up next is the Kiss Me Arse match. Sorry, I adapted a whole accent when I said that, which is Sheamus and Dolph Ziggler. This is one of the first things that I'm going to bitch about. First off, and I know it's been said because everybody's been talking about it for the past few weeks, ever since he made his re-debut on Raw as Evil Sheamus. Fucking hair. Like, if you thought we didn't care about Sheamus before, do you really fucking think giving him a dumbass mohawk and putting braids in his beard is really going to make us care? Like, granted, Sheamus has always been a better heel than a face. That's true, and I will fully admit that. But I just find it hard to care. And this was a good match. Not a great match, but it was good. Ziggler always works his ass off. It was a good match with one of the most traditionally dumb stipulations of all time. When Rock and Billy Gunn did this, it kind of made sense because Billy Gunn was Mr. Ass. Now, granted, that is a very loose tie there, and a very, but at least it kind of made sense. When Vince would do it, it made sense because he was making people kiss his ass. So again, there was some build up there. This just kind of came out of nowhere, and Sheamus's whole gimmick now is he's going after all of the smaller guys. He's basically playing McMahon at this point, where McMahon, I don't want any goddamn vanilla midgets in my goddamn ring. Basically, is what's going on, and even you can even hear it if you watch the match. Sheamus is even talking about, these guys are tiny. It might have been in the build up, like the flashback, or it was in the match itself. But he's like, these guys are tiny. Tiny guys have no place in my ring. It's like, Jesus fucking Christ. We're going back to the 80s now, where everybody's juiced up and huge. Which, I actually don't mind that gimmick because it kind of makes sense. It's like all these small guys are getting a lot of recognition, a lot of fan love, a lot of whole pound of food man love, a lot of love, and traditionally doesn't make a lot of sense in wrestling for the smaller guys to get a lot of love, even though it does. WWE just doesn't want us to think it does. Anyway, but yeah, so it's just nobody cares. Nobody cares about Sheamus, I think, is the problem. Nobody has cared for a while. Like the whole face run was kind of meh, and then he was gone, and that was part of like his heel turn was none of the fans cared he was gone, so now he's evil again, and he's gonna beat up all of their favorite guys. It's just whatever. Like I said, the match was okay. It was good. The match was good. Dolph won on a roll up, small package, which I thought was interesting. I appreciate endings like that. I appreciate not having to go to the finisher. I appreciate the match just kind of ending out of nowhere. Although, um, it can go either way. I do appreciate a good finish, that finish being kind of sudden, but at the same time, um, I appreciate that type of finish. I appreciate the quick bang, 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 bang finish. You know, it gives a little spontaneity to everything. Not everything has to be a 15-minute lead up to the finisher match. So I enjoy that. And then we spent about it felt like forever, but we spent about, I'd say, 5 to 7 minutes. Sheamus, no, I'm not gonna kiss his ass. I'm not gonna kiss his ass. Threatening to walk out. The ref telling him to get in here and kiss Dolph's ass. And literally, it was about 5 to 7 minutes of this, of just killing time. And then what does it build up to? Sheamus low blows Dolph and then rubs his face on his ass. Like rubs Dolph's face on Sheamus's ass. That was weird. But yeah, it was dumb. And that's kind of the theme of the night. Is the stipulations and gimmicks are just dumb. For a myriad of reasons. This one was dumb because it made no sense. And there was no payoff. This is a match where this is like a blow-off match. And like I said, anyway, but this was just dumb. It was just to kill time. It didn't do anything for anybody. I mean, maybe, no one cares about Sheamus enough to really dislike him. So, that's a problem. But anyway, so then Harper and Ambrose come back to the arena. And they get back in the ring, and they have a Terry Funk moment where they toss a bunch of chairs into the ring. And there's actually the crowd actually chants ECW, which I thought was nice and appropriate. And then there's a couple slams on the chairs. And then Ambrose tosses Harper off the top rope onto some chairs. Dirty deeds him. Doesn't even dirty do it on the chair. Like, there's a space where the chairs have, like, parted, like the Red Sea. And Ambrose just hits Dirty Deeds, and it's it. 1, 2, 3. Literally, they're back maybe 5 minutes, and the match is over. And I was just kind of upset because this is the problem with doing matches like this, and I'll get to this again later in the John Cena match. The problem with doing matches like this is you can't get the same level of brutality that you could, which is what made these matches special. They basically use kendo sticks and chairs, and that's about it. And then the ending just kind of, it's just really, really bad. Like, the finish is not good. It was just a really poor finish. No build. There was nothing exciting about it. The match just kind of ends. And I don't like street fights in this era. I don't like really anything that has to do with, because they can't do it the same way. And I'm not saying, oh, there has to be chair shots to the head. Oh, there has to be copious amounts of blood. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is they can't, even if you take out chair shots to the head, which I'm perfectly fine with because, the dangers of that are terrible. Even if you take out blood, okay, doing violent weapon matches without blood is kind of stupid. I mean, these matches they just feel they just always fall flat, I guess is my point. And this one really fell flat because I really like these two guys, and I think they can both put on really great matches. This is just not one of them, and it really wasn't their fault either. It was just kind of, I don't know. I don't like the Extreme Rules pay-per-view. I think it's too much gimmick for its own sake. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, Dean Ambrose picks up his first pay-per-view win in quite a long time, actually. So good on Dean Ambrose, even if it wasn't kind of a shitty match. What was next? Was the Divas match next? I want to say the Divas match might have been next. No, actually, I don't think it was. I think it was Ambrose or John and Rusev. Doesn't really matter what order. I'm gonna get to all of them anyway. So this is Rusev versus John Cena for the United States Championship in a Russian chain match. I think I have the most to bitch about in this match for a couple of reasons. The announcers, and because I watched it by myself this time, I was listening to the commentary, which I found out was a very poor move, and I should just I wish I could mute the fucking commentary. Anyway, I don't even know where to start. First off, let's just start with the match. Russian chain match. What makes the chain Russian? What about this match makes it Russian at all? Besides the fact that the guy who brought the chain is Russian. Like, I know we've had these matches before, apparently. But yeah, that part was just dumb. But that's just me being picky. They kept saying, "This is Rusev's match. This is Rusev's match. John Cena's in trouble. This is Rusev's match." Literally, I think that JBL probably said it, 10 to 15 times, because that's what they do. They wear out shit. We've never seen Rusev compete in a Russian chain match. How do we know this is his match? First off, the dude's Bulgarian, living in Russia. So how do we, we've never in his career, I assume, I could be wrong, but never in his career has he competed in a Russian chain match. So how do we know that the Russian chain match is his match? Stop it. Stop it. Stop fictionalizing shit. And second of all, they even reference the bull rope match with Eddie Guerrero and JBL. The reason these matches work, and like even people are tweeting, it's like, oh, that match was so brutal. It's like, not really. They didn't hit each other with the chain a lot. I mean, it was used in a couple of spots, but they didn't do much with the chain. And the chain then really limited what they could do in the ring. It was a lot of, really simple stuff. And then again, because we're in the era where there can be no blood, it really kind of just loses its oomph. This match kind of fell flat. And I'm not just I'm not just, oh, give me blood. Give me the blood. It's what I need. That's not the point. The point is, these matches, there's a foreign solid steel chain in the ring. These guys are supposedly going to be bashing each other with it. And yet no one's going to bleed. No one's going to be, really physically injured. It was just, I don't know. It just didn't work. John Cena won, which I thought John Cena was supposed to be in the mid-card to put people over. And no, we've now beaten Rusev at 2 consecutive pay-per-views, which makes me think he's gonna get hot-shotted back into the title picture. John Cena, that is, at some point. I feel like they say, and everybody thinks that John Cena's down in the mid-card to put people over, but you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't put the United States title on John to give it some relevancy and have him put people over. That doesn't work. And obviously, they're choosing to keep the belt on him, which is fine, because like I said, they want to give the United States belt some relevancy. Alright, fine, do that. But don't claim that John's down there doing work for these undercard guys. Don't claim that he's elevating these guys, because he's not. We all know he's not. We all know how this works. Oh, there was one spot, and I could have swear to God it was timed. But the crowd, and I guess reports say that Lana was kind of playing to the crowd a lot during this match, and the crowd started chanting, "We want Lana." And so Lana hops up on the apron and starts waving and kind of enjoying the adulation of the crowd, and then Rusev gets pissed and sends her to the back. And yeah, it was really well-timed spot. They must have been working hard to make sure the crowd chanted for Lana so they could set that up. It reminds me of Mark Marrow and Sable, kind of, where, Mark Marrow's the star, Sable's the hot valet, and the crowd starts to want to see Sable over Mark Marrow. And that kind of set up a big thing for Sable. Basically made Sable a huge commodity. But do you all remember what happened to Mark Marrow? He went nowhere. Not saying it's going to happen to Rusev, but the formula doesn't bode well. Anyway, John Cena wins. Kind of an interesting ending. Each guy has three corners tagged, and I guess I should probably describe the match. Basically, both men are attached at the wrist with no locking mechanism, by the way. Just Velcro straps at the wrist. So if I'm Rusev, I'm slipping the fucking thing off and like tying Cena to the announce table or some bullshit. But whatever. So yeah, both guys are velcroed at the wrist to a large chain, and then you have to touch all four corners in succession without your forward momentum being stopped to win the match. Like I said, dumb that there was no locking mechanism on the cuff, so that one guy could just pull it off and beat the other one to death with it. But of course, honor rules here. Whatever. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of that match. I don't have a lot of fire for this, as you guys can probably tell. I don't know. It's just it was a meh pay-per-view. It was okay, So then we'll do the Divas match. Nikki versus Nikki Bella with Brie Bella in her corner versus Naomi. Thank you. Couldn't remember, as I say to myself with no one else in the room. Naomi. Good match. Actually probably the second best match on the card, surprisingly enough. Very few botches. These girls actually worked really hard and worked well. It was a good match. Weird because Naomi took out Paige, who won the Battle Royal, so Naomi's kind of the heel. But then I thought the Bellas were heels, and the Bellas cheat to win. So I don't know who the fuck was who in this match. Like, I don't know what the hell was going on. Obviously, I think we were supposed to chant for Nikki, or cheer for Nikki, but I don't know. And then Brie fucking kicks Naomi in the head, and then Nikki throws her up in the rack attack and drops it down and wins the match. But no, actually a really good match. Some few nice spots. Really, I don't have a lot to complain about except for I didn't know who was who in this match, but that's probably just my own fault for not watching Raw or SmackDown. I never watched SmackDown. Probably my own fault for not watching Raw week to week. But no, good match. Not a lot to complain about. Miss Paige, I hope she comes back from filming the movie soon, because she's kayfabe injured at this moment. Oh, speaking of injuries, since I don't really have anything to complain about for the Divas match, Daniel Bryan was supposed to be on the show and defend the Intercontinental title against Bad News Barrett, but he was pulled at the very last second, what it seems like, and Barrett and Neville wrestled on the pre-show, and the tag team match was moved from the pre-show to the actual pay-per-view. So I thought that was interesting. I think Neville went over, if I'm not mistaken. But he's doing well from what I've noticed. Adrian Neville is doing pretty well on the main roster, and hopefully continues that, and doesn't just get kind of lost in the shuffle. But hopefully Daniel Bryan comes back. It's gonna be really sad if this injury kind of turns into something worse and we end up having a repeat of last year. Also, we find out the King of the Ring is back on Monday Night Raw. So it's not actually a pay-per-view, I guess. It's just like something they're doing week to week on Raw, which is strange. Glad to see the King of the Ring is back, but kind of weird that it's not its own special show. But we'll see how that goes. So up next we got Roman Reigns versus The Big Show in the Last Man Standing match. Now this is the match where they did a good job working the crowd. And I mean that in a way that we all know how they respond to Roman. We all thought we knew how Chicago was going to respond to Roman. But they put it in a match. Basically, they lined him up with somebody who's so much more hated in such a more passionate way that the crowd had no other choice but to root for Roman Reigns. And that's the Big Show, because people are desperate for the Big Show to just go away. They don't want him anymore. They do not want him around. And I find that hilarious. Actually, no, I don't find it as hilarious as I find it completely true and with merit, because this guy is just, it's done. I mean, it's just done. It's over. I'm sorry, I just need to collect my thoughts for a second. Um, his match was okay. It had some drama. Roman was Roman. Didn't really do anything special. Um, I didn't really break out any fantastical moves. Took some bumps. Took a big choke slam over the top rope onto 3 tables on the floor. So that was, he took some bumps in this match, which was surprising. Not really surprising, but um, interesting. It's always nice to see a guy who's not afraid to take some bumps. Um, I do enjoy that they are kind of addressing the fact that Roman Reigns may or may not be was a huge failure in the run up to WrestleMania 31. That's kind of part of the storyline, and I enjoy that just because it's work with what you got. Um, yeah, not a bad match. Um, but like I said, I think it was a smart move. To be honest, whether or not the match was good, I think it was a smart move for them to go with it because it puts Roman in the right place. It might not do the best thing for him in the long run, but it puts him in the right position. He's not going against somebody who the crowd is going to, just shit on him just because. So they paired him up in the right spot. The rumor is he's going to go with Kane, apparently after his feud with the Big Show, which is going to do the same thing, and it's going to keep the steam rolling until I think Roman's got enough momentum built up on his own that he probably could go up against less hated heels, like less X-Pac level hate heels, and probably be just fine, and probably be cheered just fine. So that's that. Um, Moving on to the final match of the night, and just continues with the stipulations and gimmicks are dumb theme of the night, because we have ourselves a steel cage match. Now I don't know why I'm complaining, because if a steel cage match is booked to keep people out, then we know the people are getting in. It's not a surprise. It's not a shock. I don't know why I'm shocked. The one thing that pissed me off about this match was the finish. And the match was okay. Randy Orton hitting a pedigree. And oh, right, forgot. The RKO was banned in this match. So a normal steel cage match is no disqualifications. Apparently, if Orton were to hit the RKO, or if the RKO were to be used in any capacity, then then the user of it would be disqualified. So I did enjoy Randy Orton hitting a pedigree on Seth Rollins. I thought that was fantastic. Nice little spot there. But so this match finishes with J&J Security getting in the ring, and Kane is the gatekeeper. By the way, Kane is the gatekeeper of the steel cage. So J&J get in the ring, and they're causing all kinds of bullshit and havoc. And Kane's in there and doing shit, and so then Orton RKO's one of J&J Security. All right, not a big deal. He's not really he's not a participant in the match, so it's kind of like if you hit a manager at ringside with a chair, or hit somebody interfering at ringside with a chair, the ref won't DQ you because they were not a participant in the match, so that's fine. But then Seth Rollins hits an RKO on Randy Orton, leveling him and allowing him to roll out of the ring through the door and win the match. The move is banned for both people, I assumed, and thought, well, wouldn't this lead to a disqualification? Which would have worked well, because that would have given Seth a kind of shit, fluke heel win. Like, not only did I break the rules and win the match, and I think this could have been done in a better way. I think if Orton had the upper hand and was heading towards the door to walk out, and then out of desperation, Seth Rollins pulls him in and hits an RKO. Ref rings the bell, DQ, it's over. Randy wins, but Seth retains the belt. That would have worked a little better for that kind of ending. But just to kind of ignore the match stipulation and just have Rollins roll out of the ring and win was kind of dumb. Like, why even have the stipulation then? I mean, I get it because it sounds good to the build, and it gives the match kind of something interesting. You know, it makes it a different kind of match. But if you're not gonna adhere to the stipulation, what the fuck? You know, the cage match is already one of the worst gimmicks, one of the worst stipulations in wrestling now, because they've taken all the brutality and violence out of it. It's basically just a big cage. You know, it's basically like, all right, now we can only win by going through the door or climbing over the top. Really, they only bust it out when when it's supposed to keep people out in terms of storyline. Never keeps people out. People always get in. You know, it's we have these stereotypes about these matches now, where it's like Hell in a Cell. Oh, well, we know where they're getting out of Hell in a Cell. That actually has changed because of it being taller and whatnot. They don't usually go up on top of the cell mid-match anymore. But that used to be very serious. Like, oh, we're having a Hell in a Cell match. They're going on top of the cell. You know, then it's cage matches. Another one, cage matches. They have this booked specifically to keep people out. Oh, people got in. It's like, son of a bitch. It's just annoying, you know? But Seth Rollins wins, retains the title, which I'm happy about because I like Rollins as champion. And I don't want Orton to get the belt back. I don't even know who should honestly have the belt. I think by SummerSlam we could see the Shield triple threat, maybe. Although I think they should save that for WrestleMania. But I don't know who the hell is going to take the belt off of Rollins. Like I said, I still have a sneaking suspicion that John Cena is going to get hot-shotted back into the title picture at some point, somehow. So that's my sneaking suspicion. But yeah, that was Extreme Rules. My apologies if I just seem really uninterested. It's because I was. It wasn't a bad pay-per-view, but it wasn't great. I've seen worse pay-per-views. But this is, I don't know, left a bad taste in my mouth for a lot of reasons. But anyway, that's the show. Hopefully, at some point, I will figure out a way to get Mike back on the show or get someone else to come record with me. Because I know when it's just me, it goes a little fast and there's not as much discussion. There's no discussion unless I start talking to myself, which, you know, I don't like to do that on recordings. So, thank you guys for listening. Check us out at Twitter, at playerscodepodcast.com. Playerscode what the fuck am I talking about? Ugh, sorry. Check us out on Twitter at playerscodepodcast. We do stream live at twitch.tv/playerscode. All one word, the P and the C are capitalized. Also, we have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/playerscode. So check us out there, subscribe, follow us on Twitch, follow us on Twitter, support, whatever. Just say you like the show, whatever. We also have SoundCloud. Just search Players Code on SoundCloud if you'd like a more just audio version of the show, which I think a lot of people probably like better than the YouTube version. But I do both just for whatever reason. Yeah, so we'll probably be back next month for the next pay-per-view, or if something fantastical happens, we'll probably maybe pop a episode out for that. But until next time, thank you guys very much for listening. Bye-bye.